of peace. Our topic is honoring the child within, in case you didn't guess that theme already this morning. And as usual, arrives in perfect timing. I just returned from a couple of days in Salt Lake City where I got to spend time with my son, his wife, and their 2 daughters, whom we haven't seen in about a year and a half. So it was a very precious visit. I not only got to reconnect with 2 granddaughters, ages 3.5 and 12, but I also got to reconnect with my own little girl inside, my child within. Call it inner child, younger self, little Carla, it's all the same. It's that part of me, that part of you, that never really grows up, that knows simple joy and gentle love, sacred and pure, and has never lost faith. It's that part of you and me that has unwavering trust in the divine energy, God, life. It's that resilient part of us that always knows things will work out for good, as long as our adult selves don't try to overthink things or get in the way of our highest self. Today's message is about reconnecting with that little one within, honoring its presence, recognizing its eternal value, loving that part of ourselves, and also being able to see that part in others. In the Science Mind textbook, Holmes points out that it is a beautiful and true thought to realize that every person stands in the shadow of a mighty mind, a pure intelligence, and a divine givingness. Not alone unto the great comes the soft tread of the unseen guest. The farmer has seen the heavenly hosts in his fields. The child has frolicked with my play. We look too far away from reality. The intelligence by and through which we perceive that there is a spiritual presence and an infinite mind in the universe constitutes our receptivity to it and decides its flow through us. We have made a riddle out of simplicity. To return to a sane simplicity is one of the first and most important things to do. A return to sane simplicity. That's the approach I used when I first arrived at my son's home and began getting reintroduced to those little girls. I knew how important it was to honor them as the precious children of God they are, whether they're related to me or not. To give them the respect and the space and the time to reconnect with me at their own pace. To allow the flow of love between us to come to life as the trust was reestablished. And you know what happened? The 3-year-old ran to me and almost knocked me down as soon as she saw me. She immediately wanted to be hugged and carried and was calling me by name. I thought this was amazing because she couldn't even talk the last time I saw her. And here she was shouting, "Grandma Carla, Grandma Carla!" We shared that connection of pure love and trust and enthusiasm through the entire day, the 3 days that we were there. The reception from the 12-year-old was not so visibly energetic as it was calm and deep. We communicate regularly by text or phone now, and she remembers who I am from one visit to the next. A bond has grown between us. As I watched her compete in volleyball practice and on a Saturday game, it was my child within who wanted to go out there and help her and play on that team and help them win. There's definitely a competitive gene in the family. But it was the adult in me that knew better than to go out of my court. We did find other activities of mutual interest to share throughout our time together, ones that didn't threaten my life and limb, ones that allowed us to discover our unique individual interests, to further deepen our love, to strengthen the family bond, to build up between us and to carry us from one visit to the next. And that is very similar to what our inner child wants from our adult self. Let me explain by starting with another quote from Holmes. Jesus tells us that the childlike mind is more receptive to truth than the over-intellectual who demands too rational an explanation of those truths, which must be accepted on faith alone. What person can explain why he or she lives? The self-evident fact of living is the only explanation possible or necessary. In the whole life and through the entire teaching of this marvelous human, we find a childlike faith in the universe and an implicit trust in the goodness of God. Judging his work by its results and its influence on succeeding ages, we are compelled to accept the fact that wisdom is justified of her children. That's a quote from Matthew he used. Wisdom is justified of her children. Many theologians don't have a really clear explanation of what Jesus meant by that phrase. And Holmes didn't offer any lengthy specifics either. However, he hinted at one possible interpretation when he wrote, judging his work by its results. This means our thoughts and actions of today become the path of tomorrow. Our decisions, our wisdom of today become the children, the results and consequences of our future. Whatever we believe and declare in our lives today will become visible in our lives tomorrow at some point. Those declarations and statements of belief, what we think and say about ourselves or what we want to experience, whether we're truly conscious of them or not, is what we attract into our existence. And sometimes we're not always happy with the results of our wisdom, are we? But because we're not really paying attention to our intentions at the moment of that particular creation, we may have a difficult time tracing back to where a negative experience or an unwanted condition came from. And as we know, the law of mind, the creative energy that is God, works with absolute precision. If you say or think something often enough, if you have a mental thinking pattern about how something should be, that something will eventually show up in your life in some way that mirrors your thought patterns. It must. It's the law. The results or succeeding ages of whatever wisdom or lack thereof, which you set into motion, must eventually be demonstrated in your life. The same is true with our human children and grandchildren. They're like little sponges when it comes to learning. But isn't it true that they reflect back to us some of the very things we wish we hadn't taught them, even if it was unintentional? Something we think is so cute at the time, and then later we start to regret it when that habit or sarcastic comment starts showing up because they keep bringing it up over and over again to see what our reaction is going to be. And it's not cute after a while. The same is true about what we tell ourselves. We can justify whatever we want with our adult ego mind. We can justify and defend bad behaviors, unkind words, slovenly habits, just as easily sometimes as we do the virtuous and compassionate things that come from us. Holmes tells us that the children of wisdom look to the inner and not to the outer for justification. So what does your child of wisdom within guide you to do? What simple directions do you listen to or ignore or overcomplicate? What is it that you spend your time and energy resisting to her mom. The child starts, do I have to get ready for bed now? Yes. Do I have to take a bath tonight? Yes. Do I have to get out already? Yes. Do I have to go to sleep so early? Yes, the mom says. Why do you have to give me such a hard time every step of the way? And the child replies, life is short, and I like to resist it one moment at a time. Is that what you're doing? Are you resisting being part of the flow of life? Are you blocking your own good? Whether you consider it a curse or a blessing, you have been gifted with free will. Free will of choice in every instance of life. You have a choice as to whether you react or respond, what emotions or words you express, even to what patterns of thought you focus on and develop most often, which then can become your beliefs in life. As we learned last week, we repeat as much as 90% of the thoughts we have from day to day. So it can take some effort to change thought patterns, especially the negative ones. From personal experience, I highly recommend making an effort to change such thoughts and keeping it simple. In fact, you're welcome to use the acronym KISS as a reminder to stay on track. Keep it simple, Spirit. The children of wisdom, the children of God, and that means you and me, look within for understanding and direction. It's important to do so, especially in the midst of being a parent and teaching spiritual or life lessons to your human child or your grandchild, such as forgiveness and compassion, kindness, joy, abundance, and all the other God qualities we learn and know through these teachings and others. It's important to honor and listen to the child within when we're communicating with the people around us, especially if we're to receive any kind of cooperation in return. We must learn to play nice with one another, to be willing to be vulnerable in our sharings, to trust Spirit, to treat others the way we want to be treated, and to do it over and over and over again. Not just to show how to do it, but also so we don't forget ourselves, so that we can continue to demonstrate what we want to receive in return, how we want our own inner child to be treated by our adult self and by the other adults in our life. We must do it first. We must set the example, to look for the good, to reach out and offer the best of what we have inside us. In the Bible, Psalms 82, verse 6, the author of which we believe to be King David of that time, states, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. So if we are to believe that we are children of the Most High, then that gives us some idea of how we are to be in the world, especially if you take that to mean of the Most High consciousness. You can check in with yourself in each moment to determine if you are coming from the highest consciousness as you speak your words or express your actions or behaviors. You can ask yourself, am I representing God? Am I being God in this moment? Through what I'm doing and thinking right now? Through how I'm talking to someone? And based on your answer, adjust accordingly. Your child within knows the answer. Your pure and holy God self knows what to do. I guarantee it. You already know this is how it works, how universal law works, reflecting back to you that which you project in the world through you as you. You have known somewhere within you, from the time you were born, how to be happy, free, spontaneous, line at the airport coming back, there were two other mature women in line behind me, talking about how they had come into Salt Lake to have a grandma fix. They needed to reconnect with their grandchildren, yes, but I bet it was also to reconnect with that child within as it was for me. Then as we grow older, we learn about the world. We hear people talk about life and death, successes and failures, marriage and divorce, love and hate, good and bad, and we start reacting to and through what we're taught, often according to what those closest to us believe. The race consciousness or the family systems to which we belong. We learn to take sides, to stay in harmony with those around us, those who have power and control over us, to see the world as they do. Beliefs begin to form. Thought patterns start repeating. Here's an example from Holmes about how this might look. He says, we will suppose the mother is constantly saying, the poor thing, the poor little sick thing. From the human standpoint, this is natural, but it does not help the child, no matter how loving the thought may be. This is called unconscious or innocent malpractice. It is malpractice because it's the wrong use of thought. Innocent because it is not intended to harm. Unconscious because the mother does not know the result of such mental action. He also writes that it may be necessary to teach the parents how to think about the child, else one might heal the infant and have the parent's thought make it sick again. That's an example many of us may be familiar with, offering so much loving sympathy for our children or others around us, they don't have to be just children, that we cripple them rather than support them in healing. We keep them weak and dependent rather than encourage strength and growth in their own right. If we continue to use these limiting patterns as we age and mature until a certain age, then we, the children of the Most High, must be re-educated. We get educated by listening to talks like this and others like it. Taking classes, reading new materials, exploring spirituality from a different perspective. Being around and talking with people we respect who have gone down the path we now find ourselves on. Because somewhere between the inner wisdom we were born with and our current selves, we got lost along the way. The child within needs new guidance, and it's up to you, the you that is who you are today, in this moment, the inquisitive and curious you, the gentle and loving you, to reach out and offer a new direction back to wholeness and understanding, back to happiness and freedom and spontaneity and generosity and caring, back to love. I encourage you to give yourself the space and time to reconnect with your inner child within. Yourself, the child of the Most High. Be open to the opportunities to play and laugh. I had to laugh at myself this morning when I realized that I selected a knee-length skirt rather than a full-length skirt to cover up the new tattoo my granddaughters drew on me. So I have these wonderful images that they fade away in 3 days. To dream at least one impossible dream before breakfast. And to view life through the simple perspective of a child's eyes, whether it's for a few hours, a few days, or a few years. These teachings, life is really not that complicated, unless we make it so. child within. Give yourself a big squeeze. You know, be loved by that child. The God within and all those around you. We need to love every day. Experience the pure love of the divine. And just be you, a precious child of God. Let's have a prayer.